Hey, this is Lance of 20-Sided Night.
And I'm Evan.
And today we're going over just some problematic players. For this one, we're talking about the power gamer specifically. Let's just go right into it. What is a power gamer?
So a power gamer is anyone who, just based on whatever they're doing in the game, it's way higher than the other players and it's ruining the fun just so because whatever they're doing, it also messes up the general sort of challenge rating. So the DM is going to have to way tougher monsters or way tougher things in there just so the other players have something to do. But then if that thing sort of tries, if they try to do sort of the same thing, they're going to get killed or fail, and it just makes so the level isn't fun.
A power gamer could come from a lot of different sources, whether it be something martial, like a really powerful fighter, like a cleric that gets too powerful, or it can also come from even a dialogue-based or face character, for example, who's able to talk the scales off of a dragon or the skin off of a Lashunta. One issue about a power gamer can be it causes a huge vacuum where the players feel like there's no reason for them to be there, because why is Aquaman and Batman and Flash there when Superman can do everything that they can do and better? And it also can cause issues where it's kind of like watching a weird improv play.
Yeah, where it's like just the DM and the power gamer just having an adventure.
And the DM's not really into it. Basically, if you just want to be playing a game where you're the only person, do the same Starfinder thing, but write it out as a book. Might be good. How do you deal with the power gamer? There's two ways to do it, I feel like. In-game and out-of-game. Let's talk about out-of-game first. How do you deal with the power gamer out-of-game?
Well, with the out-of-game ways, I'm going to assume that, the person people that you're playing with are somewhat reasonable and mature adults. I would just talk to them and say, hey, dude, so you're way stronger in, I don't know, let's say you're just martial example. You hit like a truck, nothing can hit you. Combat, it's basically everyone just sort of stands there and basically they wait for you to come and beat up the villain of the week, and while they just sort of anime style watch, like, oh man, protagonist is doing something. We're all going to sort of sit here on the sidelines and scream.
That's what Dragon Ball sucks.
Or just any anime, it's sort of like one person does something. But so I just talk to them and say, hey, so if it's something where they found some really good loophole with some classes, and it's like, hey, so can you just sort of not do this cool move or thing you found? Or if it's through like equipment, just say, hey, can you just sort of not use that gun or that sword? Can you just sort of be like, hey, so I'm gonna be like Simon Belmont and use a whip, or I'm gonna use like a little pistol or something for a while because I'm just so good, I'm trying to train at everything, or I don't know, just something so they can sort of tone it down just so it's more fun for the other players.
So when dealing with the power gamer, when do you think is a good time to talk to them? Before or after or during a session?
I don't think you should talk about during, because that's really confrontational. It's kind of like a dick move to do.
Really, it's just like, yo, I'm doing this thing and I'm just going to ladle on this armor too. Hey, you're being a dick right now, cut that out. That's confrontational?
Yeah, that's not a cool thing.
Well, I shouldn't have done that then. But anyway,
or like you're just being like, hey, listen, I'm just hitting you with a dice, real damage. That's not cool either.
About whatever rule they're gaming, and it's kind of like,
yeah. So I prefer to talk to them afterwards, just so if they're going to be salty about it, if they have a week to just not be a salty Sam. So during the game, if they're not just like, well, can I attack? Is that power gaming? Or can I talk to this person? Is this power gaming? Just, I don't know. That's just me though.
So I like talking about just power gaming and what can happen before the session, just mostly because it can help to stop any sort of issues that were happening beforehand, hopefully to cause one less terrible session where you just have a bunch of people bored on their phones or anything like that. Also, if you guys are really good friends and you're all used to each other, you kind of aren't just going to scream at him about it or her about it. You can just nip it in the bud right there. And then the player who was power gaming, they can sort of take notes and understand what was going on during the game to sort of see it sticks in the mind easier if it happens before.
Yeah, but also, I mean, these people a lot better than just some rascals on the internet, so you know your audience, so it's up to you.
No, listen to me. So what are some in-game things that happen that create power gamers, or what are some in-game things you can do rather that can stop power game?
Well, there's a couple different things. One thing you can do is if they have some sort of really good weapons or armor, like you were saying, maybe it's like, hey, so that armor you have, yeah, you got upkeep it because it's made out of weird anium, and you gotta reset the flux capacitor or else you get AIDS. Or if it's something where, if it's a...
Space AIDS is a real threat.
Yeah, or if it's like a big gun that they're using, it's like, oh, see, the type of ammo for that gun, that's out of stock because, I don't know, there's a space war going on and the government's buying all those bullets.
Or maybe it's just difficult to buy fission cells for your powerful laser rifle. You know how there's different tiers of ammo? There's like improvements on the ammo that you can get in Starfinder. Maybe the improved ammo that's feeding your gun and making it so powerful, it's harder to get.
Yeah, or they're just out of stock.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't carry that brand here, but we got Spacer's Choice.
It's not the best choice, but it is Spacer's Choice.
Yeah, it is there. There's Moon Boy.
And the thing that you can use, he is there. The thing that you can do in D&D and other fantasy type settings is what I like to have, rather than just having like a magic shop where you can just go out and buy a Cloak of the Archmagi and a Staff of Power or whatever, is instead of doing that, make a quest arc, or like figure out what they want and make a quest arc around that, so then that way when they have that, it's a longer amount of time, other people can keep track with level and things like that. Also, maybe have something like a magic item auction where even it's that way it can sort of set the stage of how magic items are rare in your world.
Yeah, because it's kind of weird where it's like, or it's like, hey, so I got this flaming skull to talk to the devil, but it's also right next to, I don't know, the farming implements because I'm just a general store owner, but I do have this hell skull, yeah. Which without getting too off topic, that could be like a weird quest. It's like, why does Farmer Joe, or why does General Store Joe have like a hell skull in his shop, and why does he got that?
Listen, Farmer Joe loves farming, right? He'll do anything for farming. He'll do weird demon stuff for farming.
Yeah.
And worse.
Yeah, or if it's something where if their power gaming comes from like a weird rule that they found that they can, like, well, technically if you do this or like a cool class combo, you could do something where if they're like a really good martial character, put them in situations where they won't be able to punch away out of a situation. Like if it's something where there's an asteroid careening towards the planet, the guy's like, hey, listen, this thing's biolocked to me, so if you don't get this thing for my ship or do this thing for me, you're not leaving the planet. Or if they're a smooth talker, have it be something where it's like, hey, I don't speak galactic basic, no English.
Or like if it's a worm tongue situation where sure they can talk the scales off of a dragon or anything like that, but whatever's compelling this lord to speak, or this Spacer's Twich representative to speak, they're being compelled by otherworldly means where they're just not going to do it simply because they cannot. And then maybe that will give your investigator some time to shine, or your fighter who just isn't able to wet his axe, or Deshaka, that weird spiny thing that they got in Starfinder. They're just not able to wet that with somebody's blood because you talk your way out of every situation. It would give other players a time to shine. Mm-hmm. Basically, change the encounter every once in a while, because if you do have somebody that finds a niche, they're always going to take advantage of that. But a great fighter isn't going to be able to use cast sword on, say, a diplomatic situation.
So where do power gamers come from, in your opinion? Like, what starts it? Because it's always better to sort of nip it in the bud.
Yeah, to figure out where power gamers come from, when I was power gaming, when I was playing as a war cleric a while ago, one easy way you would just find a rule that you would take advantage of or just didn't know about at all. So, for example, in 5th edition D&D, there was this rule called War Priest where they can make an additional attack per their wisdom modifier. My knowledge of understanding of the rule stopped there. I didn't know that it was once per turn, so it turned out that I just got 5 attacks per turn. It would have stopped it right there if I would have read ahead, or if the GM would have just stopped me and sort of said, hey, this is actually how it works. I feel like power gaming comes off from different rules that aren't known so well. Even more so than if they get like a big old magic item, because that can be stymied with, say, black pudding, or an assembly that eats the item, or black guys who steal the item, or
taxes.
Like that. Yeah, or taxes. Where if you just don't understand the rules and you're playing to a different rule set completely, that is one issue that can be dealt with pretty easily as far as having spell cards at the table, where if somebody's really taking a liberal interpretation of whatever their spell can do, if it's right there and the GM asks, okay, read out loud what the spell does, the entire spell,
then yeah, it
would stop it right there. What about you? What in your history of dealing with the worst kinds of power gamers, what do you think you've done to deal with them? I
don't know. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where it's kind of a DM thing to fix also. Like, I didn't deal too well with it, and I got to the point where other players were like, hey, listen, just let Susan, like, they're getting kind of bored, and one of them was kind of like, hey, so, I mean, it doesn't even matter what my guy does, let Susan take care of it, because, we can't do that.
Whoever that was a real jerk. So with power gaming, do you think it's a kickable offense from your table, or do you think it's something that can be dealt with easier? Do you think that power gaming is one of those problematic players that need somebody to be kicked, or what is that?
I mean, I think yes. I mean, I've never gotten to that point. It'd have to be something really extreme, where if it's something where it just, like with the War Priest ability, eventually we sort of sat down and read it and we're like, hey, this is how it works, and we both, because we're cool guys, we just said, hey, can you just sort of cool it down on that, unless you're bleeding out, then whatever. And but if it's something where if they just don't know the rules, and they're just like, okay, so this is how the rule works, or this is what we agreed about to fix your power gaming, don't do that. What am I going to do? I'm not going to use my Hellfire Mega Gun. Okay, cool. So you're not going to use it, right? Nope, I'm not going to use it. And then as soon as combat starts, I'm pulling out my Hellfire Mega Gun. It's like, oh, damn it, we just talked about this. Or
if they're doubling down on it, like say, for example, you talk to them, you're like, hey, listen, you fool, you haven't even seen their final form.
And you tell them about that, and they're like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to play Pot of Greed and draw 2 more cards, and then play Pot of Greed, draw 2 more cards, then Graceful Charity to draw 3 cards, this card 2, then Exodia, and then draw Pot of Greed.
Oh no.
Yeah, if they're doing it like that, then
damn boy.
Maybe just sort of just say, hey dude, so next week, like, hey everyone, so next week D&D, except for you, we're meeting on next Blur's Day.
Luckily, I haven't had a player. I have had players I've had to kick from my game, but none of it's come from power gaming. What I want to hear from you guys: have you guys ever had anybody, or girls, girls don't watch this. have you guys had anybody? Have they ever had to kick a player from your game for power gaming? Have you been a power gamer yourself? Be honest. Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks again for watching 20 Saturday Night, and bye for now.